Well, Spud, how's your week off?
Well, Tommy, it's grand, yeah. I got into bonsai making. Bonsai.
Right, are you the Karate Kid dude, the older
Mr.
senpai? The Mr. Miyagi.
There's a lovely guy on YouTube. What's his name? Hensai. He's a Japanese Englishman, and he has this incredibly posh English accent. But he's quite obviously an old Japanese man. Right. So you hear this like rather posh kind of English accent coming out of this Japanese fella, and his tutorial videos is just amazing. Like he's just like, I could watch these all day. It's just a fella going.
It's funny. It's one of those kind of interesting hobbies. I suppose that you think, but you just like cut bits of trees off. But I'm sure there's a million things involved in it. Like, you know.
No, not really. That's what I said. Like, right. it's you take a tree and you shape it into something, and then you wait 20 years, and hopefully it turns out how you wanted it. Now, well, you do need shaping and stuff. And
like in the third one, you break it, and you have to kind of care for it.
It's great, yeah. So I went off and bought bonsai stuff, but it's not bonsai. Bonsai is just it's not a plant. It's not a tree. It's not a shrub.
Oh, right. Okay.
It's the form that it's, what am I trying to say? What are words?
No, I understand. Yeah,
it's the way you grow it.
The process.
The way you grow it. Yeah.
Oh, right. So it's not like, so you could use like dragon's plant or I don't know, rosemary.
Well, it has to be a tree.
Well, dragon's blood is a tree.
Is a tree. Well, rosemary isn't though. I know that. That's a herb.
Second one. I kind of fell off the cart. It's the second example.
No, but you can use like just like Christmas trees. Like firs and pines and stuff like that. Like, absolutely, yeah. And apparently they use them a lot because they grow really, really quickly. Like an oak tree, it takes 50 years to grow 30 centimeters kind of thing. Well, it depends on the one, but like, there's no point in using a fucking California redwood around and like just go through your ceiling after being inside for 6 fucking minutes. Like, maples are another one. Yeah, it's great. So like, I'm kind of running out of window space for them at the minute. So
are you going to sell them, or are you just going to force them on everyone who comes to your house? Here, have a bonsai. That's yours now.
I'll do that thing because I'm running out of I've already like ran dry and like fuck. I already gave them something I made with the carpentry, so I'm running out now. What to do? Bonsai. That's what I'll do. I'll make them a bonsai because like who would ever say no to a bonsai? Like it's just wow, that's mad.
Incorporate the two and make the pots as well for your woodwork. Put some
wooden
symbols
pots though, man. Well, suppose you make the pot and then you put the timber around the pot. That's next year's idea. Right. Tommie, you're just amazing. I love you, man. You're the oracle of fucking my life. Do you know? Always give great wisdom and stuff.
I should slip in things into that I would. Maybe learn how to make Semantics or Wacom tablets or a wooden Wacom tablet. Can you imagine?
A what?
The drawing tablets. It's a
drawing tablet.
Yeah,
but you have like a million.
Yeah. Well, I don't have a million. I also bought a new one yesterday.
For Jesus' sake. What is this for your other hand, is it?
No. It's I'm going to sell the one I have. It's the one. So I'm getting a new Cintiq. So it's a proper big upgrade. It's a bigger one. It's more. You don't care.
I just don't know what they are. I know what they are, but I know there's some you can get with like the screen is in them. They look cool.
That's the one I have, but I'm getting a bigger one of them and a more it's a better pen and all that stuff. You don't care. I can draw better.
No, I do care. No, I think they're cool. Like, because I mean, I can't draw for shit. Like, but I know. Look, it's one of those things. Everyone can draw. They just have to learn, kind of thing.
It's just practice for most.
Yeah, but it's just I have a million other things to do. And
well, that's it. And there's like so many other things. People say, "Oh, I'd love to be able to draw like you." Yeah, well, take 15 years of your life out.
Yeah. Well, you just need like 1 or 2 hours per day for 15 years, and then you might be as good as me.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you'd probably be much better, but like either way, that's fine.
How's your sigils going?
Yeah, good. That's surprisingly how well people have kept up with it, considering that the other stuff we've kind of done that's similar. How it, the fall off was quite quick. But obviously, and people are enjoying it, and people seem to be getting stuff from it, and obviously it's working for them as well. So, yeah, I'm trying to work out did any of mine come true yet? I don't think so. But
mine are all like far too long term.
Yeah, it's not even long term, but mine I suppose are a bit more. It's not like I want, a statue of thought. It's, and then you get it and you go, all right, that sigil worked. I've been a bit more kind of, what's the correct word? A bit more kind of, that word where it's kind of a bit more less defined and a bit more kind of more
vague.
No, not vague, but more like
vague.
a state. It's in my head. It's empirical. It's not empirical because that word some word. It'll come to me next week when I don't need to. Someone will know that there. My brain is so shit with words these days. Unbelievable. It's like I was watching that Jordan Peterson video, the one with Jonathan Pageau, and he's talking about, I just can't get to the words anymore. I know, John. I know, Jordan. I understand. I completely understand that. It's just you know more words than I do, probably.
Empirical?
I'm going to have to look it up.
Is that a word? Empirical.
EMP.
What was the word I heard yesterday? I was watching some cookery program, and they were in Israel. What did he say? Aggressivity. Is that a word? I don't think that's a word, is it? Aggressivity. The guy was saying. There's one city up in the north of Israel.
Ephemeral. Is that the word I'm looking for? Ephemeral.
Maybe ephemeral, yeah.
Ephemeral. That's it.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't even mean the thing I mean.
I don't know. It sounds like a branded lady smelly water.
Yeah, so it's like it's something quite fleeting and short in it kind of, but I don't mean it in that I'm looking for something that's quite fleet. It's like it's ephemeral in the sense that it's hard to grasp. That's exactly what I mean. That it's so I'm looking for like kind of states or insights or stuff like that. So it's not really kind of a thought statue. So there you go. There it is. It's kind of something that's harder to kind of see if it's more. You'll see it when you look back, kind of thing. So it's hard to know. Yeah.
What's that French? What's the French? Le petit mort, isn't it?
The little death.
The little death. Yeah, that's what came into my head there straight away. That's a funny thing. It's like after you jizz.
Yeah.
Isn't it? After post nut clarity, I believe is what the Americans call it, which I like a lot less.
Yeah.
But the little death sounds great. It's like everything is wonderful and I've just died.
Yeah.
Anyway,
it's that moment after you've come and then you've go. What am I watching? What stupid porn is this? This is disgusting. What am I doing with my life? How did I end up here?
Don't even like leprechauns. This is a stereotype.
Yeah. Stepsister leprechaun. What?
There was another. I remember I was saying to you a couple of weeks ago that the strange coincidence with the sigils was people started coming into my life that I hadn't spoken to in a while. So I had another one and was looking up some article about fixed football matches, because we get a lot of people coming to the website looking for stuff, like looking for, give me free ticket. So they're looking for like a free bet or whatever. And we don't do that. So we just say, no, look, we do stats. I want fixed games. And then I always send them an article that there's no such thing as, there are fixed games. It does happen. But like, it doesn't happen to the level where like, Johnny from Sligo is going to be able to send you inside information on Barcelona versus Real Madrid or whatever. But anyway, so I always send them this thing and I decided, no, I'll tell you what, I'll send them a video. And if you put in fixed football matches on Google, like me and my old...
Bruce Grobbelaar.
No. There's a video of me and one of my old colleagues comes up and I just sent him the video. And like within like 2 or 3 minutes, your man in the video messaged me, how's it going, Spud? I'm like, wow. How are you, man?
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, we haven't spoken since like the start of the pandemic. How's things? Yeah, so we get talking away and like, it's funny because something else happened as well. There was someone else actually, and we get talking and like, I just got like fucking like man emotional at the start, and I feel like fucking like crying. And I was trying to hide it, because like just all these memories came kind of flooding back, and then I got talking to him then about what he's doing, and like it turns out he's like this type of child psychologist and all. Like I've spoken about before, like that fucking like I'm petrified of being like a bad dad. I'm like, look, can you tell me like if what the fuck should I do here? Because Mickey's going through an age now where he's marking his territory all the time. He's quite fighty,
Yeah.
And
I have one of them too.
It's boys are like this, and I says, look, I mean, do you have any advice for me? Like I'm at my wit's end, like I just don't know what to do, and I really need help. And he says to me, well, that's above my pay grade. I can't really help you.
Oh, right. Thanks, Jonathan Pageau.
That didn't happen to me, Tommy. That's exactly what Jonathan Pageau did to fucking Jordan Peterson the other day.
Yeah, it is.
What the fuck? And like, people are... How are people not disgusted by Pageau? Like, just... Oh, it was ridiculous.
Well, I think it's also because they don't like Peterson, so I suspect that an awful lot of people just didn't watch it.
The guy is pouring his heart out, and he's like, oh, I don't know what to do. Like, I need help. And Pageau's just like, For
anyone who doesn't know, there was a recent podcast of Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Pageau. Fan favourites, Jonathan Pageau. Spud is a big fan of him, has liked him from the beginning and has only ever good things to say about him. But there's a point where, obviously, Jordan Peterson's gone through an awful lot in the last while, blah, 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 not getting into that. But he's having a kind of a moment where he's proper tearful and falling apart. And Jonathan just kind of goes, I don't know. You know, and like, I suppose... There's one thing, like, not to defend whatever, because it's a bit, you know, you could say something, but maybe saying, well, like, I don't know the answer, or I don't, but there's plenty of, that's why, you know, you have a whole host of cliches and platitudes at the ready, that you can, you know, you have something that you can, at least, rather than just go, you know, I don't know, you know, because, I mean, it's not as if Jordan Peterson's going through, like, it's a fairly unique version of it, but it's like, people have breakdowns, people have, you know, wives have cancer, you know, people have had drug,
it's a funny one because, like, Pageau in the interview, he lays out Carl Jung's individuation of Christ, you know? And it's like, for anyone watching it at first, you'd be like, oh, Jesus, he's really smart. He knows what he's talking about. But it's like, yeah, no, he got all that from Carl Jung. Like, he didn't come up with that. Like, he did not come up with that. So it's just, because I didn't like him from the start. Okay, that's fairly obvious.
Oh, what?
But over the last couple of weeks, then I've kind of opened the door to him a little bit and says, right, okay, look, everyone says he's smart, and he is smart. He knows his stuff, but he's very blinkered.
That's very my problem blinkered. With him. Yeah, he is. Yeah,
incredibly blinkered. Yeah. So I said, okay, I'll give him another chance. And then when I watched this interview, I was like, nah, that's the end. Like, that is the end of him now. After that bit, because he hit the individuation thing was okay. That's quite smart. But then just like, your friend, fucking friend asks you for help, and you just be like, like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's like kind of, I like him, and then there's like, you go, oh, that's very smart and insightful and whatever, and then he always gets to a bit where he just like, and he's like honest about it. He's a Orthodox Christian, very much an Orthodox Christian.
You know what? I didn't notice he's a born again one.
Oh, is he? Right? Is even even deeper down the rabbit hole. Yeah, but so it's like, because like even what he was talking about, the whole symbology of the Virgin in, you know, Christian thought or whatever, and he's talking about that, you know, that the wife has to be dedicated to the husband. All right, fine, and he's just going to say, and the husband has to be dedicated to the wife because that's how the marriage works. No, the wife's dedicated to the husband. Next bit.
Husband can do whatever,
and that's fine because that is like that's an Orthodox Christian and a Christian. It's a Catholic thing, although, you know, I dare say it in Catholic Ireland to women, they would not be having it as much as they used to. But you know, and then you kind of go, oh, you know, because you kind of go along, then go, oh no, I'm on the wrong boat. Oh, sorry, John, I'm not going to Orthodox Christian land. I was just here to, you know, just to hear what you had to say about Carl Jung. Sorry for that. But it is like he's good to the point. And then you have to it can be a bit insidious. Is too strong a word, but it's kind of that you can suck you into this kind of thing, and then go, oh no, I actually don't believe that. But you've made such a good case and other things that I think that has more of a weight to it now. And go, no, but I don't believe it. And it's that kind of thing that it's hard not to get into it. It is thinking that when someone has an insight in one area, that they know everything. You know, that there's somehow thing, and it's like that, and a thing I'm learning and finding hard to learn, because there's a whole kind of pathology around family, obviously, but it is around that allowing other people's opinions to have more weight in my own mind, even when I disagree with them, because there's a sense of authority to it. It's like growing up and say your dad says something like, oh, you know, you have to be in by 8 o'clock, and I go, well, everyone else is allowed out till 9, doesn't matter, and you go, well, that seems unfair, that's the thing, but it's an authority, so it's true even though it's not true, you know, or something. That's a terrible example, but that, so it's like,
no, I totally get you.
I have a tendency to do that then with Jonathan Pageau, with Jordan Peterson, with whoever, and it's not, you know, I name anyone. When I'm reading a book, I tend to, and it then takes me a while after to kind of just pull back and assimilate it essentially and go, yes, no. And I suppose, well, the thing that I've discovered in the last couple of weeks, just when getting back into magic proper, is just how my perspective of a chaos magician changed dramatically in the last while, where I kind of seem to feel that there was a truth, an actual thing. Whereas, of course, the chaos magician perspective is there's none, there's no truth. Everything is kind of... So when it follows then in with that thing of that when you give someone the authority over all things, it's negating this kind of unfolding, ever-present, all things are true at the same time. And I know people really dislike that, but that is chaos magic, we have the... is the thing from it, although it seems to have, chaos magic, the ethos of it seems to have changed over the while, but that's what I get from it. So there's a lot of kind of things going on with that, in that that I have to separate, different things. But overall, I did enjoy that chapter between Jordan Peterson and Jonathan Pageau.
I did too. I will say that. I did enjoy it. He's better.
There's that 10 minutes bit between 20 minutes and half an hour is the crying bit, if you want. Is the...
He's far better. Pageau's far better when he's speaking with someone who isn't on the same side of the field as him, and when he's not speaking as the knower, in the sense of that, in that relationship, Jordan has the higher authority. Because number one, it's his podcast, but also he's a psychologist.
Yeah, all that. So, so when he's coming from the, he's not quite humble, but there's more of a humble kind of where he's not kind of demanding his knowledge be true. He's kind of suggesting, it's much more palatable.
But plus, he's no smarter than say me and Tommie are on anything. He engraves stone for a living.
That's really good at it though too. Yeah.
He's not a theologist.
Yeah,
he's not.
Yeah,
So
this is this, isn't it? There's all of these kind of things that you have to be super careful, particularly in, say, I brand all of this in a sense New Age thought, but it's not, and I know that's kind of unfair. But let's whatever is the bigger metaphysical, even that's a bastardization of that, what that actual word means, books or teachers and all of that kind of spirituality, in that the kind of areas that they profess to have an expertise in, they actually have no qualifications in, for the most part.
Yeah.
Whereas Jordan Peterson has in thing, but he still stretches into places he has no reason to talk in or whatever.
But
what I'm saying is you should go to it if you really want to know the theology of something. Go to a theologian, not an artist. But the same thing. But that doesn't mean that because Grant Morrison's only a writer, he hasn't anything good to say about things.
It doesn't mean every theologian is right. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely true.
But it's there's the. You have to tread the line between becoming a fucking... I'm not an academic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But between becoming an academic snob and only looking for letters behind people's names.
Sure.
Because that's not the right approach either. But it's look, I don't remember the exact words, but there's a fairly early lesson in Buddhism where Buddha's I don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
No, but approach everything skeptically and find your own...
Yeah. Be a lamp unto yourself.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's people with him, who we mentioned, and the other guy who we're not going to mention. Just...
But there's a thing, just aside...
There's a thing like the X-Files. It's I want to believe. Okay, that's good. I like that you want to believe. But you still need to ask questions. Ask questions. But just because some words are in a book doesn't mean it's gospel. And even then, the Gospels aren't true anyway. So,
they're mythological. More true than true. Yeah, it is. But it's the question we've asked before, but why doesn't Graham Hancock just get, his master's in history or Robert Val in ancient Egyptian? Unless they think they're going to be indoctrinated into, the great lie or the great schema or whatever. But it would just mean that, they've spent way longer... Graham Hancock spent 30 years, 40 years, a million years talking about this kind of stuff. And what's a master? 7 years? He could have done it. And then his views would have had so much more weight. I think, anyway, that's, I'm qualified to say this. Until you have people, I suppose, like Rupert Sheldrake, who are qualified, and people still don't believe.
Do you know what's a good example of that is Paul, what's his surname? Stamets, is it the mushroom guy?
Stamets, whatever.
Stamets. Yeah. And he's like that because he's he can release as many books as he wants now, and people can think he's crazy, but he's no, I have all the letters behind my name. I have a doctorate in this, I have a doctorate in that, I'm a professor at this university. You can argue with me, but I'm right.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I love that. I love that confidence that he has in himself
Yeah, it's like, I suppose that Rupert Sheldrake has as well, but he kind of, I suppose, him being a biologist perhaps is again talking outside his box of expertise as well. Although he did come to his theory of morphic resonance from examining plants, from his biology thing. Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's just, I suppose it's have no gods, have no masters, and kind of Ken Wilber always said he puts himself forward as a pundit rather than a guru, someone who just, like a football pundit, someone who, talks about it rather than necessarily is a great footballer himself. I suppose that's the other question is, if you want to commentate on football, do you have to have been a great footballer in the first place? Probably not, but you should definitely have played it. You definitely should have watched a lot of it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's why. I remember years ago when we were doing the music stuff, the website, we got into a big argument on, like, we had a kind of a writers' forum in it, but behind the scenes, and we got into a big argument one day about how I thought that musicians made the best critics because they just know more about music. And it went down like a fucking lead balloon, obviously.
Right. Obviously, yeah.
Except with the musicians who were like, well, yeah, obviously, we can play guitar. Yeah, you're a fan, but like, it's not to look down on anyone. I mean, it's all just fucking opinions at the end of the day.
That's it. And as soon as you start thinking that an opinion is more important or more true than someone else's opinion, given that it's only an opinion. Now, obviously there's objective fact, possibly, depending on what, let's not go down the rabbit hole of objective fact, but, that if I don't have any qualifications, you don't have any qualifications thing, so both of our assertions about this particular topic is opinion.
Exactly. That's all we have on this podcast is our opinions.
Yeah.
Like, when you go, oh, I have a doctorate in occult studies. Get the fuck out of here, will you? Yeah. What? Where can you get that? Can I do that at night time for like maybe an hour a day? I have an hour a day.
An hour a day.
Can I do that?
And not every day.
Okay. Not every day. Well, then I'm not going to get a doctorate in occult studies. It's as simple, simple as that.
Yeah, and particularly like when it's things we talk about, like. Although, I did go to woo-woo college in some way. Like, I went and did, holistic health studies, which is,
that's totally woo-woo college,
in
fairness.
But, so, you can go. And I suppose, in that sense, I do have some qualifications in the area. But, flower essences, let's talk about that. From now on, that's the only thing we're allowed to talk about because, or not even flower essences, aromatherapy, Jesus Christ, I even mixed up my own qualification. I have a qualification in sign language, right? Like I or a certificate or something that says I can do. I can't, and
really
at all. I can't at all. No, but I could take a teacher's. Well, not take a teacher. I could apply and have the qualifications to teach it. Like.
Jesus, no way. What did you do? Like a semester in sign language?
Yeah. And because Vanessa's learning it now, she's learning the kids one here, which is love, for the preschool. And I go, I don't know any of that. I literally, I couldn't. I know that.
Don't even remember the bad words.
That's love, the horn symbol, but not only in America, not in Ireland. So I don't even know the Irish one. It's so weird that years ago they used to have two, a male and a female version, so that they couldn't talk to each other. That's so
Get out of here.
Stupid.
You're joking me.
Yeah.
Huh. I was watching a video about it, but I've probably seen it. It was a popular one on Reddit there the other day. I put a chap with an iPhone and he was showing how Braille works.
Oh, yeah. That was really good.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
But, Jesus, Braille. God almighty. I don't think you'd be able to find much on the fucking Tree of Life if you were reading Braille, could you?
Yeah, Jesus.
I need a book on the 72 angels of the thing. I don't know what it's called.
Isn't so much of your brain, though, to do with sight? Like, isn't like such a high percentage of processing power?
I can hear you.
Oh, sorry. A high percentage of processing power of your brain is related to sight. Like, it's such a huge kind of way that we view the world that I don't know. If you had to lose one sense, not that I want to lose any. Well, I'd definitely lose smell because I don't give a shit. But because I lost it and it didn't really bother me that much. The only thing is, if you're in danger, you really need it. If your house on fire or there's toxic.
You smell it though, wouldn't you?
Well, not if you've no sense of smell.
Your sense of smell is gone. Sorry, I thought you were saying the one you get rid of. No, I don't know. Well, I'd rather be blind than deaf. That's for sure.
I don't know. Never be able to read. Never be able to.
Yeah, but audiobooks, man. Fine.
Yeah. No, I have definitely. Think of thought.
But then,
like about.
you being such a good friend, though, you would have to take it upon your shoulders to read every single book that you read aloud. Every single book for me
Yeah, I do
so that I
yeah.
can listen to at speed and a half and hear squeaky Tommie.
The only thing I suppose about it, you can't have an audiobook version of a comic, or I wouldn't be able to draw. So I mean, which do I lose, music or drawing? That's
I don't know, Tommie. I think you'd still be able to draw. I mean, I've seen.
I would be able to draw, but it wouldn't be very good. Yeah, everyone would go, "Oh, that's great. You know, you've really improved."
It's so profound, Tommie. What's happened? Yeah. You've really upped your game. I'm blind.
Yeah. But there is blind art. There has to be blind artists. I mean,
there's a blind artist.
Yeah.
Of course there are. I'm reading that Slania book.
It's actually Slane, unfortunately, because I asked Pat.
It's not Slane. There's a fada on the A.
I know, but the guy who wrote it says it's Slane. I said it's not though. It's Slania.
Look, listen. Where is he from? Is he English? Of course he's English. Can't say his name.
Yeah.
Look, there was an English footballer called what was his fucking first name now? His surname was Cahill. How do you say that?
Cahill.
Cahill, yeah?
Yeah.
Right, so he pronounced his own name, and like his grandparents were Irish, Cahill. It's like, you're an idiot. You don't even know how to say your own name.
Cahill, and it's Q, you can stop that now.
Yeah. What a weird thing to like not being able to pronounce your own name.
Imagine. Yeah, but there's the Gallagher thing as well. Like
Gallagher,
Gallagher,
What the fuck is wrong with you? Like, learn how to say your own fucking surname.
Well, I suppose it's the way they went to a different country and then changed it. But it's not even an accent. Like like the Gallagher thing is a pronunciation of a G that we don't. Like that's Gallagher.
Doherty. There's an Irish footballer called Doherty at the minute, and a few of them, in fairness to the commentators, they make an effort to get it right. But some of them don't give a fuck. They're just like Doherty. What? Right. That's a name. Yeah. And there's one sure way of annoying an Irish person is to mispronounce their name, because we have that huge fucking
Sivine. All right.
Siopan.
Maeve. Mab. Yeah, Mab. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, like, it smells weird if you've never seen it. Like, I can understand how someone could look at Siobhain and go, Siobhan, really?
Of course. But it's not. But it's your surname. Like, this is like, you've had this all your life. How do you not know how to say your surname?
Yeah. Oh, you mean the person themselves rather than other people?
He called himself Cahill. It's like, that's not your name. Like, it's literally not your name. Can't say your name. Like, what's wrong with you? It's very bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Yeah, so I was reading that. I got into the second bit of it now. And that's what brought it up. You were talking about the art. The art is always the bit that I kind of struggle with comics, because I'm kind of more into the story of it,
Yeah.
Like, Beanot was saying that, like, oh yeah, the art is great, isn't it? And sorry, Beanot, I didn't even answer that question because I was like,
Yeah, it's Simon Bisley is the artist.
It's the story I like. Because it brings together like it's a kind of retelling, like.
He goes to the underworld and meets the goddess. It's not essentially, if I remember correctly. It's a long time ago.
There's loads of bits of like your origins of the Irish myths and all like that, and they're not like he's taken like some really cool poetic license with it. They're not the ones that you'll read in the ancient books, but he has this kind of. It's not a modern retelling either, and like that. But he just takes bits from here, bits from there, bits from there, and puts them all together, and it's. I really like it. I really like it. It's a great idea.
There's loads of different artists who've done Slane. My favourite is Mick McMahon, who pronounces his name correct, even though he's English. Mahone. It's like the earlier kind of stuff, black and white kind of stuff. It's fabulous. I prefer that over the Simon Bisley stuff. I'm not a huge fan of the painterly comic stuff. Like, it's brilliant, and Simon Bisley's, at one stage was nearly a household name too. Like, he was so popular. But
it's kind of, to me, it's kind of Conan-y, isn't it? It's that heavy metal kind of.
Yeah, it is. It's heavy metal. Yeah. And it's I don't know if you ever. There's definitely a couple of panels which he definitely hasn't finished, that he just went, yeah, that's great.
Okay.
Run out of time. By all accounts, he's a really nice dude as well. He used to work in construction sites, and then he was just drawing stuff, and people said, you should do comics. And then someone found, and him and Pat Mills met. So it's kind of overnight
That's
success.
Good. I'm really impressed with it, because like
you should. Well, my point, sorry, is that you should read some of the older stuff, because they're a bit more closer retelling of the tale than the Horn God. No, the Horn God is one of the very later versions of Slane. Yeah,
he was telling me to read the Horn God, and it is good. Yeah, he goes down to the underworld, talks to herself, and comes back with a mission to do. And it's like, he kind of had the mission before he had it, but she gave him some help, some pointers on what to do. I'm not spoiling it for anyone. It's if you have any kind of passing interest in Irish mythology, it's a good.
The real Irish stuff with the the dinosaur. That's so good. You won't be able to see it, but it's no, you won't.
No, can't see that. The black and white one. Oh, that's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, it's lovely. Stippled.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah,
it's fun because that's the thing. But I told you about comics as well because I know so little about them. I'm intimidated at kind of where to start with a lot of stuff, and plus, I have a million books to read as well.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I understand. Like it's the and there's so much shit. Like when I was trying to get into manga, and it's like you're bombarded with like there's so much manga, and so much for every age, and there's like 17 different genres that are very well defined to Japanese people, but aren't to someone else. There's shonen and shinen and all this, but it's like takes a long time to kind of get to define the stuff you like. But when you do, it's great. So it's like trying to learn Photoshop now. Like you just where would you even start trying to show someone
could you
Photoshop?
imagine? Yeah.
It's just like some go right. So there's 100 years. Well, there's 90 years of comics. They have 100 years, including newspaper strips. Just find out for yourself. And you go, well, I don't really like superheroes. We go, well, that's going to make it a wee bit harder for you. So I understand. It's the same thing. Throw in the deep end. And because you're going to come across so much terrible because it's like I don't know if you got into westerns and go, well, there's a lot of western books you could read. There's going to be an awful lot of shit western books you could read.
Well, I suppose at least. Well, I suppose you could do that with comics as well. You could just do 10 best graphic novels or 10 best thing, 10 best. That's what I tend to do when I'm looking to get into a genre.
Yeah, but if you do the 10 best, you're going to get 3 of them will be Alan Moore, the other 2 will be Grant Morrison. So there's your top 5.
Yeah, I could probably name them myself. I don't know fuck all about comics. I've probably read them.
Yeah, top of every list is going to be Watchmen, right? Like no matter what, even for people.
Watchmen, From Hell, V for Vendetta. Invisible's be there. His Frank Miller's Batman will be there. What's that? That's 6 we already have.
Yeah. Oh, I know. And there's much better comics than them. There's much better comics than Watchmen. Now, it's obviously groundbreaking in its time and place and all that. But so we watched the film as well. We've a couple of things we were trying.
I'm after writing down Farty Animal Game, and I forget what it was.
Oh.
I write down these little notes, and I'm going to tell you. What the fuck was the Farty Animal Game? I don't have to think about that now. Oh, I remember what it was. We were playing Duplo this morning with the young lads, and the young fella could see I was getting a little bit bored.
Right.
This is Duplo, and I'm a bit old for Duplo.
I don't know what Duplo is, so is it?
Duplo is the big Lego.
Oh, right, yeah.
And next thing he says, Tata, look at this. And he takes a tiger and puts it on the table, and he just goes and launches it across the room, and he goes, look, he farted so much he turned into a rocket. Totally my son. That's it. We don't need DNA test. That's it. He's my boy.
Nice one. Yeah.
Have a look at that. There's a thing I wrote on Adventures of Moo, banishing ritual for your children. So have a look at that.
Oh, it's really good. I really enjoyed reading that. I have to say, yeah, it's very good.
Yeah, but it's your fault because and thanks because
it's your fault, but thanks.
No, but listen, it's yourself and Aga who are literally the only people on the planet who fucking have any belief in me at all. And when I come up with ideas, I usually within 20 seconds have shot them all down in my head, going, "No, that's a fucking stupid idea, you idiot for even that being alive." That's how my brain works, you see. Yeah. But then I might share with Aga, and she'd be like, "That's a good idea," or I said it to you, and you were like, "No, I didn't even say it to you about an article. It was like something about rituals for kids." And no, it wasn't even that. I was saying I had done this with Mickey, and you were like, "Yeah, you should write that." So thanks, Tommie. You should tell me to write more things. When I have ideas, or maybe not. Well, but you're good at that. You can say, "No, that's a good idea. Do it. Go with it."
Yeah, and you're right. So it's not that your other stuff isn't well written. This is particularly well written, and it's.
Well, I put the words in the right order.
Yeah, which is always helpful, It's always helpful.
And I made sure the spelling was correct. Well, to a British English standard, which is what I'm stuck with. But fine. Yeah, thanks. So read it and do fun banishing rituals.
Although I'm not the garlic thing. I don't know if I could. That would start to get annoying after a while. Could you not, just switch it up a bit of rosemary the next day, or maybe, I don't know, patchouli. Patchouli always reminds me of a particular type of man.
Are you talking about your Pornhub thing again now? Patchouli and rosemary. What's going on here?
No, you know, we were saying you were putting garlic in the spray for the...
Of course, yeah.
But patchouli's a kind of I suppose, reminds me of like that kind of a hippie aftershave type of smell that certain people used to wear, and it's just I always associated it with that. But it's nice though, but it's a bit heavy. Anyway, that's besides the point.
It's all about just making the potion with the kid.
Yeah,
that's all it is.
Yeah,
you know, it's the same as that inner workbook I've been blathering on about for ages. When you ritualize something, you
actually
have a sense of power over it.
In our workbooks on Audiobook and SCRIBD, so I'm going to have a listen to it. It's on my list.
Oh, good, yeah. It's good. Right, so anyway, this film. We watched two films.
Yeah. Which we'll do the spell first.
Okay.
Yeah. So Morgan over on the Adventures in Woo Woo Discord put up a suggestion of a film called Spell. Not to be confused with the Spell that came out last year, which is about hoodoo, which seemingly is really, really good as well. This is one from 1998, and it is essentially...
No, it's 2000. How old is it? It's not that old. It's like 2018.
Oh, sorry, 18. Sorry, did I say 2008? Yeah, 2018.
You said 1998.
Did I?
Man. Most of the listeners weren't even born then, man.
Yeah. I think could everyone just watch out for Y2K, because I think there's going to be airplanes falling from the sky. Yeah, I have a feeling something bad's going to happen in 2001 around September. Just be aware.
God, I shouldn't laugh at that. Sorry.
No. It's funny because the other day something came up about there was some joke on Reddit or something about 9/11. And I was going, I said to Vanessa, that's only a joke that you could have a decade after that happened. And she went, a decade. A decade.
A decade.
And holy fuck.
Whoa, man. Where did those years go? You know, like if you were someone like Cheech and Shawn, you'd have a good excuse. You'd be like, whoa, it all went by in a fucking blaze of, smoky glory. But like, with us, it was just like, oh shit, we got old.
Yeah, just got
man.
old. Yeah. Well,
damn it!
I read a few
Damn
bits.
it! I'm missing at least 5 years. I could have been having great crack, and now I'm just I'm tired.
Essentially, I still, no matter what, I still think I'm 27. That's my default brain age. That's what I think it is. Very weird. Anyway, Spell from 1993. Yeah,
I guarantee
I have a feeling Kurt Cobain is not doing well. I don't think he's going to last long.
I hear he's seeing Michael Stipe behind Courtney Love's.
Oh, she'll definitely kill him. Make it look like suicide.
She won't be liking this now. She won't like this at all. No.
So Spell 2018. Well done, Tommie. Not to be confused with the Spell that came out last year, which is
on Netflix.
Which is 1942. It's meant to be good as well. But anyway, this is how to explain this without giving it away. Spud.
I
suppose you can't really give it away. Like, I mean, I suppose it's.
Well, you can't give away the ending, but it's fairly. There's a scene fairly early on, and there's a scene halfway through here, like. Okay, yeah, I totally know her. Because the first scene is like, I think I know where this is going. And then the next scene that happens about halfway through, like, yeah, I totally know where this is going. So, yeah,
So a guy, an American with a beard.
So go off and watch it. Go off like the last time. Go and watch it. Go and watch it.
Yeah, that's going to be a standard thing for now. Just watch it. Yeah. Although
torrent is hard to find, but if you get in touch with not me, I won't tell you where it is.
Yeah. Or me. So... A guy, an American, with a beardy, long hair, so he kind of looks a bit Viking-y-ish. But does he? It's hard to know. He goes to Iceland because he doesn't really know what he wants to do with his life, and it just seemed for some reason he would go to Iceland because he's after surviving, I suppose, a tragedy in his personal life. And he immediately goes to a museum, and it's one of the...
Iceland must be a great place for museums, man.
I know.
They have the world's biggest penis museum. You know,
that's the magic museum.
They have the magic and witchcraft and magic museum, sorcery museum. I don't know. I did look it up, but the proper name is like Sorcery and Black Magic Museum, I think.
Is it right?
Or something like that. And it's like, that looks... Well, the penis museum looks fucking immense. That'd be such a giggle, so that'd be hilarious. And you just be like, look at the lion. No wonder you're pissed off all the time. Loser.
Yeah, then see the horse one and go, all right, okay.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've seen plenty of them. Jesus Christ almighty. God, fucking scary yokes they are. Whoa. Franco, where do you hide that? How does that fit in you? How? What the... Look at this fella. And then they piss for ages and you're like, come on, man. I'm going to have to clean that. The fuck? I thought we were friends. Jesus.
So
come here,
you
you left it. You left it up because he has the obsessive compulsive disorder where he has to.
Yeah, he has the essential mental illness that is needed for all protagonists in films about magic, so that you can blur the lines of what's real and what isn't. Yeah.
So he has this thing where he has to, and it's not like I think most people do have a little bit of OCD where they have to kind of touch things a few times or have to make sure that the door is locked, and they're fucking driven half the way to Dublin and fuck,
have to go back. Yeah.
And then you have to lock it 3 times and touch it 3 times to make sure that the leprechauns don't come and steal your gold.
It's important. Yeah.
And but he has this thing where he has to lick things, and he also has a second one where every time he sees a sharp object, he wants to plunge it deep into his left ear, I think.
Yeah.
But the licking one is just amazing. When he's in washing his hands in the airport, and no one's around, and he just puts his head down and licks the tap, and you're like, oh my god, it's disgusting. And then he's in the penis.
Particularly now that it's post pandemic, you go like, what? Come on, man.
He's in the penis museum, and he's standing there, and there's this little tiny willy of some animal, some poor shamed animal who doesn't have much to boast about at all, and he thinks no one is looking, and he's like, oh no, and he bends down and licks it, and suddenly there's like these 4 Icelandic teenagers just like standing there like Sigur Rós and all, and they're just like, oh my god, and he's like, oh no, get me out of here. And then he gets the calling to go to the magic museum, and that's when shit gets weird.
Yeah, there's a bit of a jump, I thought, for me, that the guy kind of, he noticed him. He says, oh yeah, I have this kind of OCD thing. And he goes, oh, we found him. And I kind of go, really? Really?
Yeah.
But unless he was kind of, because he does this thing with his hand where watch the films, turn off now, I'm going to spoil something, where he's drawing out runes with his hands unbeknownst to himself. So unless the guy in the museum is somehow a cop that he's doing that, but even that seems a bit of a stretch. So I don't know. I thought that was a bit of a jump. That was a bit jarring for me. Kind of go, really? Because or unless, I don't know. It only gets a bit stranger from then.
It does definitely get stranger.
Yeah. So he ends up in a pub. Not next. That's not where he just happens. Funny ears to meet a certain bunch of people, who say that he should go on a trip the next day with this kind of local guy who's going to show him the real Iceland, stuff that tourists never see. And he's kind of bullied into doing this.
I would totally do that, man.
For sure.
Sure, man. Any country in the world I end up in, except like, I'm not going to end up in weird ones, though. If someone said, you want to see the real Peru, like, the man's going to meet you tomorrow, bring clothes. I'm like, yeah, all right, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
How is this free?
Yeah. Much? Like, do people come back from this?
This isn't going to cost you $500 or anything now, is it? Because, like, that's like 10 years' wages where I live.
So,
what was his name? He had a funny name, didn't he? Strandor, wasn't it? Strandor.
Oh, Stinkdor.
Stinkdor, yeah. He was in the pub, though. That pub, I've seen that pub on some travel shows about Iceland. Right, okay. So obviously it's a famous one, and I think they have this famous Viking dish or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And so he's there and getting drunk with the Icelanders, and then he starts getting the hots for this chick, and she's like, and he's like, and she's like, they're passing by they're walking home, and they pass by a tattoo parlor, and he says, so do you have any tattoos? She's like, yeah, I have 7. He's like, all right, give us a look. She says, no, if you get one, I'll show you. And he's like, yeah, obviously. And like any man in the world would be like, yeah, obviously I'm going to get a tattoo now. Like, she's going to show me her tattoos.
Yeah, and then she just shows you one on her ankle, and you go, all right, okay.
I will get all the tattoos now just to see some of her flesh. So he goes in and gets this Viking Don't they call, what did they call them in
Staves.
these? The Viking staves, isn't it? Is that what they're called? I thought they were bind runes.
Well, hold on. Sorcerer Screed gets pulled out for people who don't know what I'm... Yeah, so they're called staves, but they're essentially sigils.
So what's a bind rune?
A bind rule is a particular type of thing where you combine runes from the Fuchtark. So that you take, you Fehu and Udala, and you put them together into one thing. Whereas it seems...
So what's the difference with that? What's the difference with a stave?
It's more closer to a sigil where you're making... It's not necessarily one of the runes.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
But so I mean, you got a stave?
You got a stave, yeah.
But it looked like a bind rune.
Well, it's still, but it still has it. Yeah, but it's like, well, it could be a bind rune. It depends on like where every single one of them, one of the because that protection one that I think it's based on is anyway, this is not good audio. So either way, but I think there is a difference in the stave because there's loads of staves in that book, which is Icelandic magic, that aren't based on the Fuchtark. So that's why I'm kind of being hesitant about it. But people.
So anyway, so he goes in and he gets this tattoo, and he's first he has to pick one, and she has loads on her phone for some reason, and so he picks this one that looks a bit rougher than the other ones, a bit older kind of thing, and she's like, "Why'd you pick that one?" And he's like, "I don't know, I just like it." And it turns out that this is the bind rune of the magician that they had been talking about in the museum, Lothar. Something. If you're into your rune magic, you'll know him. He's this famous Icelandic guy from 200 or 300 years ago who done this big work and yada yada yada. tried to do some necromancy or something.
Yeah, bring people back from the dead.
Yeah.
Is he the guy who had the dead trousers or the skin trousers? Is that him? Or am I mixing them up? Yeah, I'm not sure.
Really?
There's a few of them. Because the guy I was first when you were talking about it, I was mixing up with it. Is the guy who's the book I've just shown you, The Sorcerer's Secrets. He's more from about 100 years. He's a farmer dude who had all these type of things.
Right. Yeah. But I don't think Lothar something is in it. I don't think he's a bad guy. He just wanted to bring back smart people from what am I saying? From the underworld, or from bring them back from being dead.
Yeah.
Make them do a Jon Snow on them and get like knowledge from them. That's what he wanted. So anyway, so he's
necromancy essentially. Good old necromancy. Yeah.
So he gets this tattoo, and then like
the guy goes, "Does he know what it is?" Oh yeah. He's fine.
Yeah, of course he does. Yeah. Because like, okay.
She says it's for good luck.
And then she's like, and then she's just like, yeah, can you? Oh yeah, she shows him her boob, and we don't get to see it, which is a bit disappointing. In fairness, I mean, she did promise she was going to show if he got one.
Yeah.
So that's
But
like
we're not
0
him.
points. We're not. Well, and then she's like in the middle of the street, and she's like, okay, we have to go to your house because I have roommates, or parents or whatever, and and then there's the most tragic hand job in film history happens.
Just think of your dead fiance. Just think of your dead fiance.
So they're getting it on, and she's like, "Oh, do you have any good playlists?" Which is like, what? What the fuck? Like, we have time for music? We don't have time for music. Get your pants off! What the fuck is going on here? So she puts on this playlist, and like 2 songs in, this song that was his dead wife's favorite song whenever it comes on. So immediately he loses his boner, and he's like, oh, "I'm sorry, it's never happened before." Oh, no. And then he goes off and cries in the toilet and comes back, and she's like, "Oh, what's wrong? Oh God, I shouldn't have come here. And my fiance died, and I feel terrible. I shouldn't have done this." And she's like, "It's okay. Just think of her." And me and Aga were just like, that would never happen. That would just never happen. How? Like, what the fuck? Like, and then you realize, okay, she's up to something here. That's the first kind of clue, and then it kind of just goes on from there. And I'm talking too much. You take over.
Yeah, so it's kind of, it turns out that she steals his. Well, you don't find out later, but she steals his cum and puts it in his medicine jar. And steals the ring and then cuts some of his hair. So what she's essentially doing is making it a fetish, like a magical item or whatever out of it. They're kind of convinced that he is some sort of either reincarnation or some sort of embodiment of Yaman, the Icelandic magician. So The next morning he gets up and he notices that all this has been taken away, and he goes to meet your man, which again definitely wouldn't happen because you'd wake up hungover and go, I've been stolen, I'm staying in bed all day. That's what I would do anyway. But I think his kind of rationale is that this dude might know you one, which he asks, do you know
he
what?
wants to get his jizz back.
Yeah,
like,
his jizz. Well, I don't think he knows his jizz has been stolen at this point. But so anyway, the man says, I'll get all that stuff back for you, but come with me, I'll get it when we come back.
He had a lovely jumper, didn't he?
He did a lovely jumper. Yeah.
Oh, those Icelandic jumpers are amazing, yeah.
So to go off around some of the most beautiful scenery you'll ever see in your life, and go to then we get taught what's the difference between ice and what was it called? The big
glacier.
Ice glacier. Yeah. So you get a bit of a lesson in that, and so then there's kind of this kind of breakdown scene where he's talking about his compulsions and stuff like that, and that about sticking a thing in his ear and where that comes from, and that I thought that was a good scene. He kind of reminds me. He talks. His kind of speech pattern is a bit like Louis C.K. I don't know if that was the same for you, but there is a kind of thing. He no more looks like him, or he doesn't have his mannerisms, but he definitely has inflections.
He's a weird character because you like him, but he's incredibly moany.
Yeah. It's like I know a number of people who you could just go, I know this guy. I know I've met him a few times.
yeah, for sure. And you're like, why don't you lighten up, man? It's like, okay, yeah, your wife, fell in the swimming pool or whatever, but it's ages ago, and you just got a hand job off a hot Icelandic chick.
Yeah,
it's all good, man. It's all fucking gravy,
Yeah. Well, so we'll have to give him the benefit of the doubt that maybe he's not always like that. He does seem to have had a bit of a hard life with her anyway, given that she seems to be an alcoholic and always making a fool of herself and stuff like that. But yeah, there's definitely a miserableness to him. So kind of at this point, you're going to get into the whole thing of, because he's off his medication, so the writing is kind of allowing that all this can not be true as well, which that kind of vagueness, which is kind of, I think, is a bit, well, it's a trope in one, but it's also, I don't know, it's a bit of a cop-out, It's
a bit of a get out of jail
card,
isn't it?
But I understand, I understand, I suppose, a need for it, because there's nothing worse than if you're watching a TV show or a film and you're kind of going, is this ghost? Is this, psychological? Is this whatever? And then when there's a payoff, and Stephen King does it all the time, where it's just, it's a ghost, you go, oh, well, that's a bit boring. You know what I mean? It kind of, so I don't, it's a trope, but it's used because how do you keep that tension going? Because if you spill the beans, if you spill your cum too early, when you just go, this is magic, then it's, you're into fantasy straight away, so you're kind of losing the tension. And if you go, oh, well, this is just mental illness, then you're losing the fantasy, and so it's losing the tension. So I understand the need for it, but it's just kind of, when it happened, I went, all right, okay, I know how this ends now, you can see that it's going to happen, and it ends exactly the way these films end.
Well, it's good. Like when he's up on the glacier, he starts doing this thing with his hands, and then Strandoff, whatever his name was, is like, "Do you know what you're doing there?" And he's like, "This compulsion." And he's like, "No, you're doing Viking runes." And he's like, and then he produces this piece of fucking vellum parchment. He's like, "Yeah, these are what you're writing, man. This is like a spell. You are."
Yeah, because he gets him to do it in the ground or something, doesn't he? So
yeah. And he's like, "Yeah, you're." I don't think he says it to him then, but he's like, "Yeah, you're someone, and you were supposed to be here to carry on some work you didn't finish." And he's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" And then they go off then and have a naked sauna together, which is obviously what you should do. That's just what you do after you tell someone that they are a reincarnated Viking. It's there. It's in the rules.
Every time I've been told I'm a reincarnated Viking, I've had a sauna with a nude Icelandic man.
Yeah, and it's quite joyful. But the shit goes down here. It goes wrong. He insults him and gets annoyed with him, and he ends up killing him. The American kills the Icelandic fella, and then like out of nowhere, then handjob lady and her mate come in, probably her boyfriend. That's disgusting, isn't it? Yeah. But then again, if it's for the greater good, you'd be like, yeah, go off and give him a handjob, will you? But like, no tongues, okay? Don't be kissing him, because I want to kiss your mouth. Dig up, Spud. And so they come in, they rescue your man, and then they just spell out, it's like, yeah, you are this guy.
Well, hold on. The thing is, because they have the part of the spell is that you have to spill the blood of a murdered man. So they take the blood of the Icelandic dude, and this then completes the fetish, or the fetch, I think they call it in this, that is the magical totem thing. So that was the final ingredient. Obviously, they bring your man back to life with the the magic Hollywood injection that brings all dead people back to life.
Yeah.
Just inject
adrenochrome,
this.
isn't it?
It's adrenochrome. It is adrenochrome.
It's got something to do with 5G and Bill Gates. I heard that.
Yeah.
And I don't know how they got their hands on it, but anyway, fair play. And and then he discovers that he is this fella, and he has to walk. He has to find. Then he goes
he doesn't really believe it until he hitchhikes home, and then goes, fuck it. I have to go north. Why am I going south?
It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But so it goes all Lord of the Rings then, and he has to go walking from runestone to runestone and figure out which way he should go.
Apart from the very last one, which is ridiculous because he gets to it and there's obviously one way to go, and he makes a big song and dance of, I've worked it out, it's this way. Yeah, the one path that leads from the stone.
So he walks into a house then. Oh no, he does this, the last part of it, and this house appears.
Yes,
and the wife is in it.
Beside the waterfall, because it's mentioned at the beginning of it that this guy who's going to take him, the Icelandic guy he ends up skinny dipping with, has a wonderful house beside a waterfall. So this has been prophesized from the beginning as as the result of the working.
He walks in and the fiance is there alive, and he's like, is this real? She's like, yeah. It's hilarious. One of her first answers is like, can we do it? I was like, yes, like that is exactly what a person who is dead would want to do. Like, I'm alive, let's have sex. I haven't had sex since I died. Okay, I need sex. Let's have sex. He's like, no, you're probably smelly and disgusting.
I know, but it's actually it's him that is that I'm so smelly. He goes, you've been dead for 6 months. How dare you? I can't be that bad.
I mean, she's awesome, and she's persistent. Like, she doesn't say it once. She's like twice. She's like, she's really horny, which is just a wonderful thing to behold in any woman. Everyone wants to see horny women. We need more horny women. Society would be fixed.
Let's start a movement. I think the movement was Me Too, wasn't it? Let's not start that movement, please. Thank you.
And so that's really the end of it then. They all live happily ever after.
Yeah, that's it. I stopped watching at that point because if only. Imagine that was the end and you went, all right, okay.
Magic works. I'd be down in the garage making fucking runes the whole time, man.
I didn't want to steal my cum. Come on, please. So anyway, they sort out their lives and what it meant, and he gets a chance to shout it up because it's unfair. And it turns out she didn't kill herself, which we didn't know. He thought she killed herself until that exact moment.
Yeah, we didn't know that. There's a scene is like, did he think it was suicide? Okay. Yeah. They all thought it was suicide.
Right.
Okay, we didn't.
Because the opening scene, it's clearly not suicide.
Yeah. Strange that was. That was. Anyway.
And then you have, it all just goes on fire for some reason, and she has to leave, and then he walks into a waterfall.
Yeah, because something to do with the original spell, he had to go out into water. But this time, I think the difference between the original spell 200 or 300 years ago and this one is that this one was completed because it had the blood of a murdered person. Is that what the difference is?
I think. Yeah.
So, and then there is the fucking phone call from the doctor. Which to recap that, this is mental illness. And you're going to start seeing things unless you take, there was that bit in particular that was, there was no need for that. It was ambiguous enough that just we get it. You don't have to signpost it so much. Or at least have made that doctor's conversation before he goes in. No, because that's worse going into the house. I don't know. Don't do that doctor's conversation at all. I'd have left it out and just said, it's up to you to make of it to be magic or not. And I would have said, it's definitely magic. He's gone to the waterfall. He's gone to... Because... my understanding of why... Okay, so why did he have to bring her back? And it's because he thought it was a suicide. So because he thought it was a suicide, then he believed he'd never get to see her in heaven. Or whatever. Yeah. So he had to know what it was, and then they could be together in the end.
Or it was just unresolved. Something had to be resolved. The madness thing is interesting because it's in... Do you ever read Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell? Or Norrell, whatever you want to call it.
I watched it. The BBC
the bit, spoilers, definitely everyone read the book and watch that, all that. It's amazing. But where he's trying to get in touch with the fairy, and he spends a long time going insane. And it's only because you have to be insane in order for this magic to kind of work. So I kind of like that idea if you bring that towards that, the whole idea of that, is it magic or is it mental illness? Or, in the kind of less stigmatized mental illness where, you just kind of, allowing the control, I suppose, in a sense, because he's all about control. He wants to control it, won't control it. That's the whole thing. And your man's saying, don't control it, allow it, or whatever words you use. And it kind of seems to be that within that kind of conjunction is where the kind of a case could be made that's where you kind of have to go a bit crazy in order to let go of yourself.
Well, you're creating what's it called, liminal space, isn't it? You create that within yourself, and that's I suppose just Carl Jung. He went batshit or almost batshit,
holding on to the table.
I suppose. I didn't actually pick up on that, but that's good. That's a good way of looking. Did you recognise the Doctor's voice?
No.
It's Rivers.
Oh yeah, well, because then their song comes on. Yeah,
Weezer. Yeah, and it turns out Weezer's production company that they own, that they're part. I think they run everything through a production company or something like that. Weezer. Yeah. So it's the first film that they've ever budgeted.
Oh right,
made.
Okay, right, cool.
That's why it looks so shiny and good. I mean, it's fucking brilliantly made.
Yeah, it's definitely has a feel of like a budget film, but doesn't look like a budget film. It has that kind of arty, 50 grand to spend.
It does that thing where it puts people in the wrong angles.
Yeah.
It's fucking annoying. It's like, Jesus, art school students, art students, art film students. Yeah. Just like
student film arty, student film people.
Yeah. Rule of thirds, but like inverting it. I'm stepping away from the microphone. Sorry. Yeah. No, but like I know we've ruined it, but I liked it. I don't think you liked it as much as me.
I didn't like the like. I mean, I didn't hate it or I didn't dislike it. It was fine. It was good. It was like say my reaction was, it's, as I said to you, it's no dark song, but I mean I'm glad I watched it and enjoyed it.
Yeah.
But it's not. I wasn't blown away by it, but it's not a terrible film, and I wanted to know what happened, and it was gorgeous looking, the locations, and I liked the whole magic thing. But it's just it's just that kind of thing of that. There's nothing in a sense new. It kind of that. Well, see, it's the same thing.
I like the kind of playfulness of it, because Dark Song for me, I kind of had with that it was okay. It's a fucking serious thing if you take on that kind of thing. But for me, it was like I didn't really know what this Abrahamic stuff was. So it was like, it's a bit too serious, Yeah, but it has a good wank scene as well, though.
It does, yeah.
It's something about hand jobs and magic. What the fuck is going on here, like?
Wow, I mean, come on, gnosis, man.
Synchronicities. Maybe I should have a ham sandwich. It's so no, I like this. It was a bit more. It was less serious about it,
Yeah, and there's more kind of a flow to it. Like there's more like let's like the kind of literal myth of the hero. You just have to go and you have to go out and you kind of have to see what happens. No, I didn't. And
there's loads of funny bits in it.
Yeah, it's quite funny. Yeah,
it's good.
It's just a few bits that you kind of go, oh, that's a scene just to get the plot along, and it's not like into the museum and you might go, oh, I found him. Fuck off! No, you didn't. It's just dude who's come in. But I mean, ultimately he was right. So like, who am I to say? And then I suppose they all just happened to go to the pub. Well, I suppose it were to follow him. I don't know. It just it felt a bit forced in places, but that's better than any film I've written.
All films are, man. They all have to be forced in some way, kind of thing. Right, we'll do the next one.
Yeah.
What did we do? What was the name of this one?
I can't remember what it's called, but it was about Iain McGilchrist and he's a book called The Master and the Emissary, which is a new look, I suppose, or a new kind of take on left brain, right brain, and the dichotomy and the split and what it means. And there's a documentary, which excuse me, coronavirus. Hope you don't get it over Zoom for the fourth time at this stage. Would it be, Spud? So it's Canadian TV. This is on, although you can buy it in Vimeo for $10 or whatever. But if you VPN, it's it's a free to air Canadian thing. It's about an hour and 20 minutes long, something like that. It's good. It's just kind of a look through his ideas, what other people think about it, and I loved, including people who disagree with him entirely. Educated people who completely disagree, but can have a conversation with each other without it, not necessarily, they're definitely disagreeing, but, they're not kind of disparaging or just kind of,
it doesn't end like a pissing contest either. Like.
Yeah, like when you have Dawkins and someone who doesn't agree with Dawkins, and Dawkins just fucking is Dawkins. It's not that. Like, you can have a proper conversation and disagree with people in science. Who would have thought? And, and still respect the person, the thing. I suppose Iain McGilchrist, that book has been around a long while, but it's a long book, so I never really get into it. And the audiobook is on SCRIBD if anyone wants to have a go, but it's 27 hours or something, isn't it? Like something ridiculous. So that'll be fun. I will at some stage, but there's the way, if you want to get into know what his kind of thing is, there is an RSA, those videos that have the hands drawing as someone narrates it. More, right. I know you know it.
Yeah.
So more kind of saying it for people in case they don't. So it's kind of has a 12-minute breakdown of what he actually thinks the whole thing is about. Again, I'll put that in the show description. His basic kind of thing is that we, as a modern society, got interested in the left brain, right brain thing, but got it very wrong. And because we got it wrong, it went out of fashion, and now you're not really allowed to talk about it. But he goes, it's really interesting and much more, it tells us much more about our life and who we are as people, that it really shouldn't be kind of relegated to, or, kind of pseudoscience kind of thing. And he says that when you see things about how people whose brains have been split, which was it was a treatment for epilepsy, it was to stop things that how different, seizures, how massively different the different parts of the brain see the world, and how they don't, when you cut off, obviously when you cut the bit where they talk to each other, how, they can't kind of ratify it in the way that we normally would, in that the one has a very different opinion of something compared to the other. And then when you realise that we have that, only we have in some way, I don't know, we have like he talks about the bit of an awful lot of part of our brain, this front bit of our brain, the frontal lobe, I think I'm right in this, is to inhibit the right hemisphere, which classically, I suppose, was called like the imagination and language and art and all that. And then your left brain was more analytical, writing, categorizing kind of thing. So you have like an intuition. I suppose classically it would have been the seer and the thinker. That's the way. Yeah. But he says that no, intuition comes from both sides. It relies on both things. Language is both sides. You can't have it without each other, and all of these things. It's just, there's a shift, I suppose, a more kind of thing. And there's a kind of mistake that you could easily do, which I think he points out, what I kind of like the idea though, is that one is kind of the conscious and one is the subconscious in a way, but he says they don't do that because that's not exactly what it is either, because there is that it's not that exact of a dichotomy between the two things. It was funny because I was reading Bernardo Kastrup, if that's his name, his new book on Jung. It's on SCRIBD as well if people want to think. And the whole first chapter explains Jung's notion of what ego consciousness is, what the unconsciousness is, and what the kind of collective unconsciousness is. In like, I'm barely able to keep up with it. It's one of those where you just, but it was just enough within my grasp that I understood it from him saying it. And it's really good. You should definitely put that on your list. But it kind of explains that kind of. There's a thing where he talks about that the way the right brain works is in that it kind of, in a sense, is it doesn't report to us. In that the left brain is the kind of, I suppose, the voice in the head, the thinking, the categorizing, that type of thing. Whereas you have a thing where the left brain can inform us but doesn't directly report to us. In that you can't change it with your volition, your own kind of thing. And that's kind of how Jung sees the difference between the consciousness.
So it's more instinctual, like. Yeah. Yeah,
again, but Jung has issue around the word instinctual as well, all that kind of stuff. But so Gilchrist would kind of say, don't look at it that way, but I kind of want to look at it that way because I find it helpful.
Or maybe more reactive rather than instinctive. Yeah.
Well, he's saying that. See, I don't want to confuse it. We're going into Jung. We'll just talk about Gilchrist. He has it saying that he has the master, in the sense of the book, the master and the emissary, is the right brain. In that it's the thing, and the emissary is the thing that obviously goes out into the world, and which is our right brain, and that we've become very right-brained as a society. And he points to 3 times in history, in modern Western history, where we have started very balanced and immediately went too far into the right. And he says, I am in no way thinking that, that making, demonizing the right, or the left brain, excuse me, we need both. It's just, we really need to, be a bit more conscious of what we're doing with the right brain. But fascinating, absolutely. And some of the experiments that are done in that documentary, where you have people with the split brain and how to to see the world. It's there's a great thing, and it explained kind of a thing for me. And again, this is me speaking, not Gilchrist, in that the type of person I am and how I say absorb information would be, to me, a very right brain way of thing. Whereas I think some people are very left-brained in that, say you read a book and they can tell you, well, the dates are this, he talked about this, and there'll be parts of it that, they'll know the exact details of. Well, my kind of way I kind of learn is I get the feel of it. It kind of moves into a kind of a more, I get an overall picture or a kind of sense of it or whatever. And I mightn't be great on the details, as films from 1994 will tell you. But in a sense, it's not important to me, and I need more to understand it than to have the details. Yeah. So you could go, remember that bit in the book, and I go, I don't really remember it, but I know I have the whole overall picture.
Yeah.
Where I think, a lot of people, like especially academically, or people who are at school who are quite clever and seem to be that, would have been more left-brained in that they remember the dates and the thing, and maybe lack an overall understanding of. It's like you can understand 1916, Easter Rising, the whole thing, and you can have all the dates, where to wear and all that, and not understand the process of what was going on at all. And that seems to be the two kind of things.
Yeah. I think his thing is that, like, that because we're so left-brained now, we're becoming kind of emotionless and robotic in what we do. And like, there's even a scene where it's like, like we're building cities that are in like square patterns and all. Like, that's we're going a bit far here, lads. Like, look, obviously it makes sense to have cities on a grid, but like, have you ever been in one? No, we don't have them in Ireland.
Well,
like,
I've been in New York. I've been in New York, yes.
Have you? They're fucking boring. Like, I haven't, but I've only ever been in like large building estates which are built in grids, and it's just like, this is boring. Why would you live here? This is terrible. There's no bends. There's no bends.
It echoes the classroom too, doesn't it? Like, where everyone's in the same kind of thing. I suppose there's no squares and there's no perfect circles in nature. It's a thing humans do. Like, as Alan Watts says, the universe is wiggly. We just like to put everything in a box. If we were designing a tree, it would be very, right angled. There would be perfect kind of thing. It's something that he would say is a left brain phenomenon. That we're trying to categorize it.
It comes down fairly hard on the political wokeness, gender politics.
He does.
We're not going to get into it because there's no point in annoying people. Watch it. But it's not about annoying. It's. I think it's just saying, this is happening now because of our left brainness, because we've allowed our left brain to kind of have to choose my words very carefully.
It's predominant, I suppose. Is
yeah. Thanks, saved my ass there again, as usual, Tommie. But something else. What's his name? A vicar? He's not a vicar. He's the Archbishop of Canterbury. What's his title? Former Archbishop, isn't it?
Former
That's
Archbishop.
his title then. Yeah. Rowan. He's fucking cool, man. He's really cool.
Good, I've seen clips of him before.
Of him over the years. He's just a cool dude, And he comes on about talking about regulating behavior and all that kind of stuff, and you can see this stuff happening in like the way that China has these social points thing going on, because we've gone too far because of like I suppose the blame has to go with the Enlightenment and the scientific revolution. Like we've gone too far into
rationality.
We've gone too far into logic and rationality, and we're not putting our feelings into stuff anymore. We should kind of bring them back.
And and that whole thing of that not to trust yourself, and that we've even to the point where we're told our memories aren't real, our beliefs aren't real, our our feelings aren't real. You can't trust the human. You can only trust how it looks. I think it's in that documentary. It goes, a doctor's talking about the thing that's on the chart is deemed as more real than the patient in the bed. And you know, it's like that's where we're at. I don't know if it's in the documentary or one of his other things where he's just going that it's what the data is to be considered better than, you know, actually talking to the patient themselves.
Yeah. Which, like, I mean, like, if you think about that logically, which is what we're supposed to be doing if we're all right-brained, or, sorry, left-brained, then that's complete nonsense.
Well, I mean, the thing of if you take logic to its final conclusion, it shows you the limit of logic.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But we don't, and we don't see that, which is obviously a massive fucking failing, because like,
well, it's not a failing in the sense of that's what the left brain does.
Well, that's what it is, I suppose. Yeah, it's not a failing. That's what it's supposed
does
to do. But like, if you have a patient in the bed and the chart is showing nothing, but the patient's like, I'm in horrific pain here, I need help. And the doctor's like, no, you're not.
Who
does that help? You know what I mean? So, it's like I knew a bit about this fella before, but most of it was, I'd seen a couple of interviews with him, like TED Talky kind of stuff, and obviously Uberboy talks about him a lot, as well. And
Uberboy has a sometimes talks more classically about left brain, right brain than Gilchrist does, but I know he does. He mentions them, so I know he's read them.
Do you know what? Yeah, I had that as well, but either he's changed his mind on it, or because I watched a couple of fairly recent videos where he's saying, I'm only going to do this left brain, right brain to make it easy to explain. So I think he does know all of it, but it's just to explain it in the videos and make it easier for people to get, you know? Because, I mean, it's just fascinating to think that, like, oh, that's mad. That's why the world is the way it is. It's not because of, like, politics is terrible or poverty is this or climate change is that or da-da-da. It's that, like, we're using our brains the wrong way. Like, it's such a simple idea.
Using our brains the right way, just not the full brain or the full. So it's kind of like he says that the
well, not in the correct way. Can I say that?
Well, in the holistic way.
Okay,
that's it. Because he wouldn't put a judgment on it in that way. He wouldn't say that to be the right brain is better than the left brain. It's just that they're not in balance. You know, you need both.
Yeah. We need to unify them.
Yeah, and you can't. He says if you don't have both, then it's a disaster. But it's kind of like I had a point there. Now it's completely gone. Left brain, right brain, gone. What was I going to say? It was kind of So the left brain, the only way it problem solves, how it problem solves, kind of ends up in a trap. So like if the pursuit of happiness leads to resentment, because that we're trying to solve the happiness thing by ticking off boxes, and we need all these kind of things, and so you kind of the problem solving of let's have more freedom. But the left brain says, how do we do that? Well, we regulate it, and you go, no. So you end up
sense.
The pursuit of freedom ends up from a left brain point of view with more regulation, because you're trying to regulate them. It's like Monica and Friends, let's organize the fun, because it's that kind of a thing. But so that's I find that whether or not it's true, it definitely is a good map, or it's a good kind of paradigm that explains an awful lot.
There's a good one. He meets I don't remember his name. He's the Turkish named doctor anyway. I think living in England, I think. And he's like, his objection to McGilchrist was that I think you're going too quickly with what you're saying, because he's like, he thinks that McGilchrist has taken a step too far, one step too far. He's missing the link between what he's saying and kind of where he believes we are. But he says that, like, in 30 years' time, your book is either going to be the Bible of neuroscience or totally forgotten about. It's a great line.
And nowhere in between.
But like, there's so much that kind of stuff that is like that. Like if you read a research paper from 30 years ago, you could be like, ha, what an idiot. Like he was at the top of his game at the time, kind of thing, And I think then that McGilchrist's solution, well, it is what it is, that he goes off and meets these First Nation people in Canada, I believe, and he has this thing about, it's very kind of Neoplatonic is the way I saw it anyway.
Now that we're all Neoplatonists.
And that the everything's alive and everything's connected. You know what I mean? And
the animism thing, yeah.
And so McGilchrist's solution seems, even though he never comes out and says it, that this is what he thinks we need to do, but it's fairly obvious that he's hinting at that. We just need this balance and connectedness. We need to bring that back with nature and with ourselves, so that we can kind of see our place in it and how everything is connected and works together, rather than just trying to put everything into a box. And like you say, like, the pursuit of happiness becomes ticking off boxes, which fucking doesn't lead anywhere.
No. Oh, well, it leads to the opposite of what you desire, to resentment and not being happy. He's ultimately, he's an interview, I don't know who was with, it's either Tim Freak or I've watched a lot of them recently, over the last couple of weeks, where he's asked about, well, what do you think is the solution? And he's like, I'm not hopeful that we can change this without some sort of massive upheaval, but I'm optimistic. He says, like, this kind of, I think he feels that we're a bit too entrenched in where we are, that unless something big happens, that there's not going to be enough momentum or justification to change it. But that interview is just before the pandemic, so maybe there's stuff in what happened with us over the last year that might in some way change, but it doesn't seem to be noticeable. But there is one thing with it is that there's more of a sway, at least I've started seeing it, there was the whole sway to wokeness, and there seems to be a definite sway now to anti-wokeness, that people are starting to go a bit the other way, and kind of seeing that as usual, when the thing that you're trying to fight, in some way you end up being the same thing, and that's not to tar everyone. I mean, I know woke people who are awesome, and I know people who are woke who are not awesome, and same with anything. But given what climate change, to say that we have 7.5 years to 11 years before we can't get out of this, and I think we can do it. We remember the ozone layer. we solved it. We did it. I think they're saying that in 2 years you would never notice that there was any damage to the ozone layer at this point. So I mean, I can understand why he would think that there would be need for a huge upheaval or something, but it's only rare in humans' history that you have a huge significant thing that changes everything overnight. Most of the change is gradual. That's how evolution works, in a very gradual, slow kind of way. But I think just the kind of thing is that we're running out of time.
I can't see the Yanks going to war with the Chinese over environmental issues.
No.
No, not really. That'll be a power grab over the Pacific Ocean, hopefully, and it won't touch Europe, I hope. I'm not fucking getting involved in that shit.
No, no thanks. Yeah, so it's interesting.
I mean, that's like watching, I don't know, West Brom versus Fulham, and you're like, Jesus, can we not have a match where both the teams fucking lose? God, one of these has to win. It's like, God almighty.
But ultimately, no one wins.
Ultimately, no one. But he's like your man Thomas Berry that I've spoken about before, in his views. Then, do you know that he's like we can fix this. We can fix this. We just need to get our shit together.
It's like John Higgs' book, the Optimist Guide to the Future, whatever. What happens next? He's at the end. He's kind of going, I think, it's not looking good, right? But it's not as if we don't have solutions to these things. It's just we don't want to do them, and so that's kind of is more optimistic. We can fix this. We just have to decide we want to fix it.
Yeah. It's gonna take public opinion changing stuff. But I don't know how to do it. I have no idea. I mean, I want to live as well as I can with nature, and I plant me trees every year, me flowers, and I try and grow a bit of food, and I recycle, and I do my best. But then you're you just watch a scene on American telly, and you see these throngs of people walking the streets of New York, and you're just it's pointless. Do you know what I mean? They're just walking and creating pollution.
And most of the pollution is coming from China, but we can't have, plastic straws because,
Yeah, I don't know.
How about, stop dumping oil into the ocean or whatever it is. Whatever is the latest thing.
But look, I mean, if everyone wants to take spirituality, awakening, enlightenment more seriously, then they would all realise that materialism is a complete waste of fucking time,
But the problem is that most people who are in spirituality think this is all an illusion, and so why, that it's not something that's, in a sense, that whole spirit, not most people in spirituality, a lot of people in spirituality have this, that it's an illusion, and therefore, it's meant to be, or there's nothing you can do about it. Don't concern yourself with the world. And I think that's, that you're up against that. And then you have the other side of people who don't believe that climate change is happening. And then you have people who do believe it's a thing, but want to make their money anyway.
Yeah.
Or
you know what? I think the only thing that I can do, I think, is just try and lead by example and just be as good as you can to your community and your neighborhood and your nature.
Yeah.
And your,
tend to the part of the garden you can reach. That's literally all we can do,
Yeah, kind of is like.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be depressing. It kind of sounds like it is, but it shouldn't be. Just
it's not depressing. It sounds defeatist that you're I'm going to look after my people while the world falls apart. But I mean, if all of us look after the part of the garden that we can tend to, then that's.
Yeah, but it wouldn't even take all of us. You know what I mean? How many people do you have in a house? 3, 4. If one of you do it, it's grand.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So all we need is third of the planet. That's all we need.
And see things like, when the randonauting thing where they say, and bring a plastic bag and clean up some rubbish, little things like that. That kind of got sidelined here because of the pandemic, because you can't touch, you don't want no one wanted to be touching other people's beer cans. But you started seeing people cleaning up rubbish again now over the last couple of weeks and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
good, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm going to so that's the thing I can do. I can put on a pair of gloves and I can go out and lift the beer cans from where, the teenagers have their great crack at the weekend. Kids. Ooh.
I would, but Polish people aren't scumbags. They don't litter.
Well, you see, the problem here is that rather than say, let's put a bin beside where people, drink their cans at the weekend, we're not putting a bin because that'll encourage them. All right, so let's let them throw their cans all over the place. And,
Irish logic. Yeah.
So literally you put a bin, everyone has a bit of crack at the weekend and no one has to tidy up. No one's allowed to have any fun. No.
Ireland, brilliant. Yeah. John Cleese is in the film as well. He says something like a sense of humour is a sense of proportion. I like that. I had never heard that before. Yeah. I thought that was great. He seems
fairly on the ball, John Cleese. He's
I like John Cleese. He's a fucking smart lad. He's really good at pissing off Irish people, and I really like that about him. He really knows how to push Irish people's buttons, and he does it on purpose, and he doesn't give a shite.
No.
It's hilarious.
Jesus Christ, can you imagine John Cleese having a career where he give a shite? Like, it's a very different career.
No, he's a class act.
See, they were trying to cancel O'Reilly from Fawlty Towers because it's a bad representation of Irish people. It's like, no, it's really funny. Come on, stop.
It's it's a really interesting documentary, and I've watched a couple of other things of him as well, and he's
lovely. He's a lovely man as well.
He's class, but you almost have to slow down the instead of speeding things up to 1.5.
Yeah.
So you want to listen to more during the day. You kind of have to slow it down because there's so much information comes out of him, and it's just, oh my god, you're ridiculously intelligent, and I barely know what you're talking about. It's you're trying to keep up with him.
Keep it up, yeah.
Just going, he's so smart, and
I
desperately hope he's right. I mean, I think it feels like he's right. It does feel like he's right.
And that's all right for me right now. Yeah, that's all right for me right now.
Whether he is or not, we'll find out.
Because it gets the same. Even if he isn't, I think it's a good model that explains, and it's a usable model, and it's like looking at the elements that we've done before and go, well, or am I, have I doing enough in different areas? It's kind of can split it in that kind of way. Or, am I having a balanced kind of view of these things, or of the world or whatever? You see on his YouTube, he reads poetry every day, which is quite nice. Yeah, only like 2 or 3 minute videos for the guys.
Class. Yeah. I must look that up. Yeah, it's great, but it's also comforting to know that like the other 11 voices in my head, they aren't trying to actually kill me. It's just part of me. And
you should definitely read that Bernardo Ketchup, whatever his name is, Bernardo Ketchup's book, the Jung one, because it totally explains all. The first 3 chapters, I get Jung's understanding of what the consciousness, unconscious, and it gets into metaconscious and all this. But that whole thing, you're trying to put the voices in your head. In that, the unconscious. While it doesn't report to us, so we can't, in a way, a blind-sighted person who's someone who can't see because they're damaged, but if you throw something at them, will react.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's just not, their eyes just aren't reporting to your conscious. So the unconscious is not reporting, but can influence the conscious.
Yeah.
But it also has, possibly, he says, there's a chance that it has its own almost ego to it. So it has like things. It's not a second personality. It's not the thing where he's talking about personality 1 and personality 2, but it gets into kind of an idea of like not quite daimons either, but that has an agency in itself. Which is very cool. And then
that's like that's like the Robert Johnson's book. He's like, when you kind of go into your say you're feeling sad, so you investigate why you're feeling sad, and you pull back the layers, and eventually you say, right, you name it, and you say, John, what's going on here? Why do we have a problem? And he says you can use active imagination to do this. So I suppose it's something like that as well.
It is, yeah. Right, but I think Jung. Oh, sorry, you have to go. But I think Jung's just is saying that the reason why the difference between the conscious and unconscious is that you can have a sense of it where you can't. What's in the unconscious, you can only kind of get a sense of what it's doing to you. So anyway,
it's cool, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know. It's totally changed. I remember saying to you ages ago, months ago, I was like, there's the possibility that like, Jung might be wrong. It's like, no, I do not believe that now at all. Like no fucking way.
Well, he might be wrong on some things, but he's not wrong on a lot of it. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, like I wouldn't go to him for advice on how to carve Saint Michael and a dragon.
Or you mightn't really have good, the same taste in food as I have. Or maybe he likes a different football team than you. I mean, like he's not the Messiah, despite what he saves an eye on.
Find out he's a Man United fan. You're like, come on. I can't be friends with you. Right, go on. Good luck. Bye, everybody.
Bye.